Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I am an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we'll talk about the next new moon in Taurus of May 8th. Now, this moon is describing a longing for both stability and peace, but perhaps too soon or too suddenly, in a sense, forcing our hand a little bit and possibly burying our head in the sand. Now, this is the chart. Let's talk about the last changes in the sky we had on April 25. Mercury, here it is, turning direct again. On April 29, Venus enters Taurus. Here she is. Venus is in Taurus, her nocturnal domicile. And as we can see, Venus is in conjunction to the Syzygy here, which, being in Taurus, is ruled by a quite strong Venus. Then on April 30th, Mars enters Aries after conjoining Neptune, meaning that Mars is leaving behind Neptune, entering Aries, and again, this is Mars's domicile. So this means that the chart features both a very strong Venus and Mars. However, Venus stands out, of course, being the ruler of the event. Now, as we described in the previous video, the new moon falls the day before the Festival of Ascension, which this year happens on May 9. And this makes this moon strongly connected to the mystery of the presence of the Christ in the etheric, as we're going to see. Now, first of all, this is a new moon, meaning it represents the beginning of this process of manifestation or descending of the etheric forces on Earth, which gradually increase with the waxing moon up to the full moon. And in this sense, the new moon is always can be understood as a cosmic seed. So this is a good time to sow, to start new things. And the peak of this manifestation process will be reached with the next full moon, which is going to be a full moon in Sagittarius on May 23rd. Now, in this chart, the sun and the moon are both located at 18 minutes 02 Taurus. Here they are. And they are in the starry image of the ram, right? Now, a strong stellium in Taurus immediately stands out. So if you're not familiar with this term, stellium, that's a heap of planets in the same zodiac sign. And in this case, we're talking about 5 planets. This means that we have half of the planets all in Taurus. So this is a huge amount of Taurus energy, and we're going to be talking about the way we are going to deal with it. Now, on top of that, the stellium, as you can see, includes the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. We discussed about that in previous videos. And as you can see, the conjunction has not separated yet. So this is definitely important to understand what this stellium is going to do. And among the other planets of the stellium, of course, we also find Venus. As we mentioned, Venus is in Taurus, and Venus, she is the lady of Taurus. She is in conjunction with the Syzygy, and this means that the lunation is not only ruled by Venus, but it is also found in conjunction with it, which is definitely a positive thing, being Venus a benefic planet. Now, the chart, as you can see, is all in all quite simple. In fact, we just have a stellium and 2 sextiles. That's it. So we have a sextile between Sun and Moon here, with Saturn in Pisces. And on the other hand, we have a sextile between Mars in Aries with Pluto in Aquarius. So a very simple chart. So let's now tackle the meanings of the chart, talking first and foremost about the effect of the stellium. Now, a stellium, as I have often indicated, represents an excess of forces, all of the same type, in this case Taurus energies, which are very difficult to handle in their direct form, in their direct manifestation. Why is that? Because basically they're too much. Now, this means that they tend sort of fleeing into the opposite sign, which in this case is the zodiac sign of Scorpio, due to an effect called enantiodromia. And we are borrowing this term from Jungian psychology, which basically comes from Greek and literally means fleeing into the opposite. Now, what does this mean? It means that an excess of Taurus energies, of Taurus forces, are sort of released into Scorpio forces. Why? Because they are too much. We can't handle them, and so they flee into the opposite Scorpio. Now, in this case, this effect is particularly strong because it is strengthened by the presence of both Jupiter and Uranus, which tend to expand this Taurus energy, especially Jupiter, because as you may know, Jupiter expands anything it touches, but also to make them unpredictable due to the presence of Uranus, which we know is definitely a very unstable planet, right? Now, this also applies from a psychological point of view because the stellium in Taurus is telling us that we cannot achieve that quiet life that Taurus wants, burying our heads in the sand. And Scorpio energy never do that, right? So we cannot hide. We need to confront what needs to be done, right? So this means that in order to achieve the stability promised by Taurus, and here there is all the potential to do it, we need to bravely confront what is required of us. So in order to close whatever is still going on, we need to explore what's wrong through Scorpio energy, so we can close the situation for good, right? Now, in this sense, the sextile between Mars and Pluto here can be beneficial. Why? Because it refers not only to external conflicts, yes, because Mars is the god of war and Pluto is a challenging planet. However, psychologically, Mars in Aries can also confer courage. And this courage is what we need in order to finally put an end to this, whatever it is, but we need to confront that, right? In order to achieve the so-called promised peace that Venus, ruler of the event, wants to fulfill, right? So we are required to make an effort to process the stellium so we can reach this sort of promised land that Venus is definitely describing. Now, in addition to that, also remember that Venus is the lady of art, the lady of beauty, so we can always leverage the transformative effect of art, which is a great way, in my opinion, to combine the energies of Taurus with those of Scorpio. Why? Because Scorpio is the seeker of mysteries, the seeker of the unconscious, right? So we can use art to explore our soul. Finally, from a spiritual perspective, the sun and moon are in the stereo image of Aries. So what's Aries? Is the constellation of the Ram. And according to Steiner's indications, later developed in astrosophy by Willisucker, it represents the mystical lamb, or the Son, the second person of the Holy Trinity. And this is basically the cosmic aspect of the Christ, the Lamb of God, which is Aries, the constellation of the Ram. Now, as announced by anthroposophy, the Christ nowadays is walking among us in the etheric world, meaning that we can feel him or trying to perceive him clairvoyantly, approaching the world of nature, that is the world of the four elements, the world of the four ethers, as described in anthroposophy. Now, Steiner indicated that one of the best ways to reconnect with the solar logos, which is another name to point at the Christ, the solar logos, is to follow in a living and heartfelt way the wheel of the year. And all of the small changes that we can perceive in nature, in the etheric world. So this way we can reconnect us to the world of the elements. So it is through this image of the living Christ in the elemental worlds, which refers to the festival of Ascension, by the way, that we can really grasp one of the highest spiritual aspects indicated by this chart, which are written in the celestial script. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to support my work, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.